It's kind of wild to think that a single choice made thousands of years ago in a perfect garden could be the actual root of, well, everything that's wrong with our world. Every conflict, every bit of heartbreak. It's a huge claim, I know. But it's the thread that ties this whole story together. A story that might just explain our world and maybe even ourselves. So let's start at the very beginning. See, this isn't just some dusty, ancient tale. There's this idea that even though you don't live in Eden, Eden absolutely lives inside your struggles. Ever get that feeling deep down, that nagging sense that things just aren't right, that the world isn't how it's supposed to be? Well, that's it. That's the echo of a harmony we were made for, a perfection we still long for. So to really get a handle on the fracture that defines our world, we have to go back. We have to see the perfection that was broken in the first place. Let's talk about Eden, this state of perfect harmony. Just try to imagine it. A world with no background noise of emergency, no sirens cutting through the air. Just peace. A place where conflict wasn't just gone, it was unthinkable. No battle lines, no fighting, not even hidden anger. And this is the big one, a world that had never been touched by loss. No graves. Can you even picture it? A place of pure, unbroken life. But you gotta understand, this harmony wasn't just about the scenery. It was a condition, a way of being. Humanity was designed to live under the voice of God, not fighting it, not questioning it, just resting in it. Imagine a life with absolutely nothing to hide, no fear about tomorrow, and no need to compete with anyone, just total trust. But that harmony was shattered, and the break didn't happen with some big cosmic bang. It happened with a single, incredibly subtle choice. Yeah, the end of perfection didn't start with a clenched fist raised at the sky. It started with a quiet, slithering whisper. A simple question, planted like a seed of doubt. Did God really say? That's where it all began. And this right here, this is the anatomy of disobedience. It's a pattern that's still playing out today. Step one is suspicion, that quiet little thought that creeps in that says, maybe God's holding out on me. That leads right to step two, redefinition. Suddenly, God's protection starts to feel like a prison. His loving command feels like a loss of freedom. And it all ends in step three, self-rule. That's the moment we declare, you know what? I know better. I'll decide what's good and evil for me. And the result? It was instant. It was catastrophic. The very second that choice was made, the entire fabric of reality, our connection to God, to each other, even to the world itself, it all fractured. Okay, so that was the original break, but it didn't just stay in the past. That single fracture echoes through time, and it shapes our world today in ways we barely even notice. Let's look at how that first no to God is still being said. Today, disobedience doesn't usually look like eating a forbidden fruit. It's way more subtle. It's choosing what we want right now over what we know is true. It's putting off obedience until it feels easy or comfortable, which is never. It's that moment we know the right thing to do, but man, the easy thing is just easier. It's how we justify all those little compromises, telling ourselves they're no big deal. And maybe the biggest lie of all, believing we can manage our brokenness, that we can control our sin without it changing who we are. And when you add all that up, you get this. The world we live in isn't broken by some random accident. It's fractured by millions of tiny, personal Edens. Every single time we put our voice, our will above God's, we're basically reenacting that original choice, and we're adding another little crack to the brokenness of the world. But that is not where this story ends. Not even close. Because for the disobedience in that first garden, there is a perfect answer in the obedience of another. And that brings us to the cross. This is heaven's answer to Eden. The whole story of history pivots right here on these two gardens, these two choices. In one garden, Adam reached for a tree to take power for himself. He chose his own will and boom, fracture, hiding death. But in another garden, Gethsemane, Christ did the exact opposite. He surrendered to a tree, the cross, to release power. He chose God's will, saying, "Not my will, but yours be done." And with that one single act of perfect obedience, he started the great healing of everything. And this is why the cross is so much more than just a pardon for our mistakes. It's not just God wiping the slate clean. It's the literal beginning of a brand new kind of humanity, one built on the perfect obedience that completely reverses the rebellion of that first garden.
So, where does that leave us right now? Well, this final part is about our present reality and our future hope. We're looking at the kingdom, where hope is restored, and what it means to live right in the middle, between the garden we lost and the kingdom that's on its way. This timeline really lays out the whole story, right? It started in Eden, where harmony was lost. Then the turning point of all history, the cross, where restoration kicked off. And that puts us right here today, living in this in-between space. And we're looking forward with total hope to the end of the story, the coming kingdom, where that harmony will finally be restored for good.
And that's the promise. That's what's coming. A world that isn't built on human rebellion and saying, my will be done, but one that's established on the perfect, joyful obedience of a people totally restored to their Creator. A world where God's will is finally, completely, and joyfully done. So, what does this mean for us, like on a Tuesday afternoon? It means that every single act of obedience, no matter how tiny it feels, is actually a quiet act of rebellion against the fall. It's you planting a flag for the coming kingdom right here in the middle of a broken world. And look at it this way. Every desire we surrender, every time we choose His way over our own, it's like we're restoring a little piece of Eden right inside our own souls. It's not about earning anything. It's about joining in with what God is already doing, bringing His kingdom to life in us right now. Which brings everything down to this one final, crucial question. The first man chose to follow his own voice, and the world fractured. The Son of Man chose to follow his Father's voice, and the world began to heal. So the question that's left for you and for me is really simple. What voice will you follow today?